Sometimes I made decisions too fast.
Our mind has a bit two minds, one rational and one emotional.
And for them, it's like, that's too much risk. But if you are asking the right people, they can really help you to see it more objectively.
I don't think emotional decisions are effective at all.
You have 6 people and everyone puts a hat.
Critical thinking is very important, just to validate the information that we receive.
Because of better decisions, they can also increase the chances of success of their startup.
When you take into account all this information, your own decision will be more effective.
Welcome to another podcast episode of Masterful.info. Today we have a special guest, Mladen, who is going to talk about decision making. Mladen, could you please introduce yourself and introduce your topic?
I'm a founder of Flexible Bit. As professional experience and background, I'm coming from the IT industry with 25 years of experience, like a software engineer. Last 4 or 5 years, I have improved my initial hobby in psychology and graduated as an organizational psychologist, and simultaneously start occupying also the field of information security. Currently, our topics, of course, is how to improve the decision making. It's a very, very interesting topic, especially for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, entrepreneurs have to make decisions all the time, and sometimes they are high-stake decisions. You make the wrong decision, and you can lose a lot of money. And since startups are not very well funded usually, it can have big impact. Could you explain what influences decisions?
There are many factors that can influence our decision making. Especially we are humans and we are prone to make mistakes. Also, our decision could be influenced very straight from our previous experience. Our decisions can be influenced by our current state of mind. Are we emotional at that moment, or we are calm and this is a very important point, our self-confidence, which is our belief in ourselves and our abilities. If we have low self-confidence, we could also make different decisions in that way.
Wow, that's interesting. So you said the previous experience make a big portion of our decision making. So could you give a few examples to that?
Of course, let's see about our previous experience. Our previous experience could influence very, very hard our decision making. For example, our previous experience could influence the risk perception. Mm-hmm. And for example, in psychology world, it's known that our risk assessment could be influenced, for example, if we experienced in the past such events or not. And for example, people tend to assess some event like more it will happen if they experience it, and vice versa. If this event is never experienced, people may tend to that they will not experience in the future such events. Another thing that is that if, for example, people are more positive or more negative, they will start evaluating such events and risk more negatively or more positively. This is also important about the loss aversion. If some event may produce a loss, people may tend bigger weight to the negative consequences and start evaluating the risk as more higher risk to happen.
But this is not about experience. It's more about the character, isn't it?
Yes, it depends. Actually, our past experiences will force us to be, for example, more careful. For example, if, for example, we had more negative events in our past, we could be more careful when evaluating risks from such events. Yeah. For example, I have some such experience in the past. Maybe 15 or so years ago, we almost bankrupted in one from our first startup initiative. It was even not a startup. We just attempting to create a business, like small shop for cigarettes and alcohol and coffee, which from one side is very strange for a person in the IT industry. However, this experiment was in a field that we don't understand, we don't know. in a very early stage. And this forces us to make some risky decisions. Because we are very positive about the positive impact. We never did such a business opportunity before that. And this, of course, put us in the flow of very bad and very dangerous decision because we even didn't be aware about competition. which, for example, the competition doesn't exist to be with friends. So the competition presents to crush you at any cost.
I had the same experience with anytime I try a new area. For example, in the beginning, I thought about search engine optimization. I thought if I create a website, if I put some content, it will rank and it will be nice. And the same with YouTube videos. If I create some YouTube videos, it's some content, it will be viewed and I will get subscribers. But then you realize the reality is much more difficult. But now, after so many different startup ideas and projects from my side and from my business partner, we are much more pessimistical. We became much more pessimistical. And when we speak with young and startup founders, they are so yeah, we can conquer the world and this and that. And we are like, okay, yeah, we thought the same in the beginning, but we already look so many red flags. We already see so many red flags in many business ideas that we say, oh, that will be really, really tough to succeed. So you're right. I see it from our experience as well. The experience changes us. If we had many failures, maybe, or if certain things occurred more a couple of times in our past, then we assume that it will happen more often in the future. It might be not real. Maybe something occurred once and will never occur again, but in our mind, it's much more real and much more probable to happen again. And you said the stress can influence. That's actually interesting. That's the next point. And yeah, usually as an entrepreneur, you are buried with work, with pressure, with deadlines. What does it make with your decision making?
Basically, there are two kinds of stress. One is the positive stress, which push us a bit more involved, put us as challenges that we need to resolve in order to proceed further. This positive stress brings us to the next level when we innovate, because the positive stress is linked to the progress, to the innovation.
You get also more energy, more clarity, more focus when you are a bit in positive stress, isn't it?
Yes, but at some point when the stress is much bigger, it will become a negative stress, which is linked to depression, to distress, negativity, which will bring us, push us to emotional states. And we know our mind has a bit two minds, one rational and one emotional. They work independently. And when we are under strong emotions, we are unable to think rationally and vice versa. The point is that emotional mind has a bit higher priority and could bypass our rational part of the brain.
And what does it mean if you don't make decisions with your rational, instead you use your emotional brain?
The emotional brain thinks emotionally. And when we are under strong emotions, for example, if we feel distress, fear, or sadness, we tend to start taking decisions that we will be resolve some imaginary danger that is in front of us.
For example, if you go to the nature, then with emotional, you are thinking that it's so likely to be attacked by a bear. But if you look at the statistics, the rational brain should tell you it's very, very unlikely, or with the sharks and something like this. And we can go even in startup world, it's the same. You are worrying about something, you are avoiding the right decision just because you're overestimating the chances of that to happen. And with rational, you would be much more objective, kind of, I guess.
Exactly. When we are more, we feel we are in danger. We start acting in survival mode.
Oh, wow.
And when we are in survival mode, we don't take rational decisions. We just take survival decisions. And this is the important thing, that when we make important strategic decisions for a lot of money, for example, we need to be calm. We need to be not in negative emotional state, neither positive emotional state. We need to be in a neutral state.
Yes. So you make a big decision, for example, to rent a place for your business. You have to make sure you are not overwhelmed, you are not stressed, maybe you have to have a small break, a small pause, and calm yourself down, and to make sure your decision making is not manipulated by your emotions. Maybe some business owners, they avoid big decisions just because they are stressed out and they overestimate the risks. As an entrepreneur, you have to take risks, you have to go forward. If you avoid that, then it's also a way to go bankrupt in the long run, or even like in the short run.
Yes. At some point, some decisions have to be made. This could put us in the direction to procrastinate our decision just because we are constantly under stress.
Yeah, I also know from my side, sometimes I made decisions too fast because I was like, okay, I need to earn money. I really need to read it as fast as possible because I have some invoices to pay. And then I was like, okay, all in, we have to invest in this project. Because it has some potential. But if I calm down myself and if I looked rationally, I would say, okay, I should blend out all the problems I have. I have to make the right decision. It shouldn't influence my decision, like the situation, the problems. And afterwards, I was a bit disappointed that I wasted a bit too much money. I could have tested first in a small amount. So it can be also the opposite, not only like not taking decisions, but taking decisions with a wrong motivation kind of. And I've seen with my clients as well, they are struggling financially, and then they make even like bigger decisions, even bolder decisions. And you feel that they are desperate, and it doesn't lead anywhere. It leads only like in faster decline of the funds and faster like going bankrupt. And the third thing you mentioned is self-confidence. So I also have a client who looks very, very self-confident. And it feels like despite like he's overconfident and he's making wrong decisions, in my opinion, like too much risk. So I guess you also need a balance. It's not like, okay, the more confident you are, the better it is for your decision making. Or is it not confidence anymore for such persons who are like overconfident?
This is very contextual, and it depends on for example, as we talked about the previous experience, people with big, significant background in the past will feel more confidence in some very specific area from their professional experience. Such people may be less confident in some areas that they do not know well. Optimal self-confidence, some average state, which put you in some mindful way, just to be careful what decision you make, because less confidence will put you to never take a decision, or to put more defensive decisions, which could put you in a direction to not gain all benefits and all value that's possible.
Yeah, I felt like in the beginning of my career, I was more confident as a startup entrepreneur. But then when I failed, kind of like the first business was really struggling, then I lost a lot of confidence. And what do you recommend to entrepreneurs? First of all, from my perspective, I'm not sure how confident I am at the moment. So you have to discover which level confidence. Are you on a healthy level of confidence? Are you below that or above that? And then how can I improve my confidence?
Actually, it doesn't matter. This is something like gap analysis, where we are at the moment and what we need to achieve. Do I feel more confident in that area that I'm trying to goal setting and achieve something? If we are not confident, we will start procrastinating some very important decisions.
So imagine you are an entrepreneur. So what would be your first step, like to go into the right direction? Is there some techniques, I don't know, to see am I overconfident or am I underconfident? And
one important thing is to get data, because efficient decisions, effective decisions are taken with a lot of data, a lot of information. And this reminds me, because in the past, for example, I was more thinking about myself, about my ideas, about something, but everyone are living in one bubble, in our own universe and reality. We assume we are in perfect world, but when we start interacting with other different people, we start getting that our world is not perfect. And when we talk with other people, we start perceiving the combined universe, like and the information that we get from external environment. And when we talked with different people about one idea, this is important because we start getting different opinions for one and the same thing. Because at the end of the day, the entrepreneur, the business owner, need to create a product and this product to be sold. So at first place, we need to start receiving information from our external world.
So I guess it's also important to ask the right kind of people with the right experience. If you are targeting a certain target audience, you can ask them. If you are asking for business advice, you should ask someone who already succeeded with this kind of business advices. I think what oftentimes happen for entrepreneurs, if they ask their close environment, for example, parents, they always they will either support you and say to everything, oh, it's amazing, because they are proud of you that you built something, or they will tell you no for everything, no, because they are from a total different world. They are used to, they don't know what is entrepreneurship. They are used to work for someone, and for them it's like, oh, that's too much risk. But if you are asking the right people, they can really help you to see it more objectively.
Yes, in a difference, for example, in corporate world, at the top of some corporate organization, there are board of directors. And the board of the directors take the strategic decisions for the whole organization. They have different profile.
Yes.
And they're top experts.
Yes.
And when such strategic decisions is taken, they all are involved in this decision and they put their points independently, because such strategic decisions will influence and will affect the whole organization. This is could be, for example, many people from the startup universe, of course, also use such approach. They don't have board of directors, but however, just communicating with different people with different professional profile and expertise would give also value for some ideas.
Yeah, we created a community for entrepreneurs to help them each other, because there are so many different backgrounds, and they can, if a one entrepreneur has a challenge, uncertainty, they can post it, and many other entrepreneurs can give some feedback from their view. I think while big corporations, they can afford the best consultants, the best board of directors, entrepreneurs, they need to find their community and help each other, just because of the lack of resources. And for our audience, if you can visit our website, masterful.info/community, and then you will find this community. And you mentioned the board of directors are being asked separately. I think I've heard about it, or I can imagine why. Because if you ask 10 people in the room, and 8 people or 6 people maybe raise their hand that they are for a certain decision, maybe they might influence the decision of the remaining people.
Yes and no. When we are talking about the strategic decisions at a higher level at the organization, such community of people, it's already is built on trust and expertise. Different people with different expertise will give different perspective to one and the same problem. And when such a combination of perspective is on the table, a decision can be very effective.
So I think everyone needs a certain level of confidence to say, okay, 8 other people are in favor of this decision, but I am standing my ground, I am against that because of some reasons. If you in maybe not in a board of directors area, but in the school, for example, or in other smaller cases, if everyone is for a certain decision, then you feel so really like, oh, maybe I did a mistake. Maybe something is, I overlooked something. Why is everyone in favor for that? And I am the only one against that. So I guess, but if you are really confident in your skills and your knowledge, then you would say, no, I checked it, everything in my, I am really sure I am against that. So I vote against that, even though like 90% were for that.
It's a very good point to ask yourself and to the others why is the such advice. Why, for example, I will ask myself why I don't agree with others' advice. Of course, why is a very dangerous question because it puts people to feel a bit guilty. For example, asking open questions about the situation and to enter into more details about the mechanism of this decision making will give more clarity where is the difference between the both parties. Exploring this difference will give more clarity, and at some point we will get on the table and make a whole common decision. The evil is always into the details, and we need just to explore more into details for resolving, for example, hidden risks, because some opposition may just reveal a hidden risk that we don't see at the first place.
So yeah, you have to give them the voice, the opportunity to explain why they are against that. And then maybe even the rest of the team will say, oh, now I learned new facts, new views. Now I'm suddenly against this decision.
At some point, people, when they start taking decision, they stick to their decision. But at some later stage, we could regulate the situation and just assume that this decision is not the optimal one. And what's the next? Shall we continue in that direction, or we need to choose the direction because it's not optimal for the business, for the house?
That's actually a very interesting point, that people sometimes are blind to other opinions, and they have their opinion, and no matter what they heard, they might be the best arguments. I had such arguments online on Facebook, in Facebook groups, and it feels like they are so stuck in their decision. You would present the best possible reasons against that, and they will still not listen to that.
My first business experiment, which ended with total failure and 40,000 euro debt in bank loans. This failure was progressed for 3 years. During that period, many people just told me, you need to stop. Why I have to stop? I'm confident that we will resolve these laws and we start make profits. However, this is an interesting example because I was stick to my initial decision to continue with this business, and it was 3 years, for example, without listening to close friends that we need to stop. If a person is more flexible, I think flexibility is very important because also I don't blame for my previous decision, but I learned from that. I don't blame myself for my failures because my failures make me more resilient to failures in the future. However, if I conclude that some decision is not optimal, I will think a bit more for potential new decision to make a correction in the direction.
Yeah, I think it's also sunk cost fallacy. It's like in poker game, you already invested a lot of money in this round, and then you didn't get the card you wanted. And then you feel like, okay, I already invested so much money, so I have to continue like that because everything else, what I invested before, would be lost. And there is a small chance of success still. But it's not rational. You shouldn't throw good money after the bad money, kind of. But it's also maybe difficult with your ego, like, oh, if I now stop it, then I admit that I made a wrong decision. And if I continue, maybe there is a small, slightly chance of success. And usually it probably doesn't lead somewhere in a good place. It's better to calm yourself down, to recognize that you are too stubborn to see, kind of, and try to be a bit more objective and see like from the rational perspective.
Yes, but objectivity is something very specific. Everyone is living in his her own subjective world.
Yes.
In order to resolve this subjectivity, as already told you, we need to be in sync with subjectivity of other people as well. And this will form some kind of objectivity.
So it's a good solution against that is to talk with the right people. And sometimes we have this closed mind. We say, okay, whoever is talking against our idea is just against us, or is just jealous, or is incompetent. So we can manipulate what we listen to. But yeah, we have to be aware of that we sometimes do that. And we have to listen. Oh, wait, why am I aggressively defending my decision? And if someone is like against that, why am I getting so aggressive against that person and not listening?
It's a kind of effective communication, giving good feedback to the other party and receiving and understanding the feedback from the other party. Taking into account your comment about defending our ideas. So sometimes people are not quite effective when explaining something. Mm-hmm. And for example, choosing wrong words can produce an emotional reaction from the other from the other person. Mm-hmm. Once this happens, nothing rational will happen from that. We need to be very wise and very careful what words we will use when we are giving feedback.
Yeah, especially with different nationalities. Like in Bulgaria, it's different than in England, and in England, it's different than in Japan. So it's easy to generate misunderstanding and conflicts.
Yes.
And also, if you have a team discussing certain things, there are some people, they are very confident and they are very articulate. And there are some other people, they are very quiet and shy. And then you give those shy people some. So if you just listen to their brainstorming session, to their communication, you tend to listen to those confident people. But then if you blend everything out and say, okay, you please tell me what you think, and then suddenly there is a genius perspective that is oftentimes overheard. Have you seen such behavior? And is there something a team leader could do?
Yes, people are different. Mm-hmm. If you compare 100 people between them, no one will be similar to the other person. Once we take into account this and put it in the context of meeting, this could bring different kind of behavior and dynamics. What could give a big significant risk is this high or low level confident people. The other thing is personal safety. This is the personal belief that I for example, won't be punished for my own ideas. If I'm afraid that I will be punished, ashamed, or put guilt about my ideas, I will tend to not share my ideas. Such thing is very dangerous for teams, and the leaders need to be careful. Mm-hmm. Because such indicator is it's an indicator for a very toxic environment and hidden conflicts.
Wow. So it's also how you manage as a leader, how you manage your team. If you are very strict if you are evaluating very strictly the ideas, and if someone gives not such a good idea, then people get more scared and less open to share the ideas.
Yes, and for example, they will stop giving ideas. Yes, this is very dangerous situation. This is something that could push in a very dangerous situation. Not only in the context of team, but even in the context of the whole organization.
Wow!
And something that is very important within the team is the trust.
Yes.
Trust is everything. If you don't have trust, nothing is working in favor for the organization, for the team, for the business.
Would you say it is easier to gain trust with teams that are in the same location versus remote teams who are different location? Everyone is sitting at a computer and you just know each other from talking through Zoom or Google Meet. And are there some ideas how you can improve that?
Virtual teams and on-site teams are two different kinds, and they have different type of problems. And this trust, for example, is very achievable when all teams are in a one physical room. Even if they're not trust, it could be improved. Mm-hmm. However, when we talk about the virtual teams, this personal connection is more difficult to be built across virtual teams. Also, another thing that is also produce risk is multicultural environment. For example, if the team is located in Bulgaria, mm-hmm. It has a common culture. Yeah. But if the team is dispersed around the globe, it gives persons with different national culture, different values. When they work together, these different values and culture could give conflicts, yes, not personal conflicts to become personal just because the people don't understand each other. What's important is such leaders to take into account these multicultural trends and to manage these differences, because small differences could produce big problems. Mm-hmm. I assume and strongly believe that no one wants to hurt the person in front. But when we use different words, different culture, such differences are not always understood and produce misunderstanding and conflicts.
It could be helpful for the leader, not only having team calls, but also sometimes having one-on-one call. And first of all, you need the other person to trust you that everything you say will not be judged. And you can give this person to openly tell her or his opinion. Is there some conflicts, so that maybe you can, as a leader, you can recognize those small fires kind of in the early stage before they hate each other?
The most important part is everyone to know everyone.
Yes.
When this happens, it will build a link, an interpersonal
connection with each other.
Connection. Social connection, yes. And once this happens, even problems, all kinds of problems will be resolved very fast.
How do you build this kind of connection? Maybe not only focusing on work, but also have sometimes just calls where you talk about nothing, like a party, like a gathering, or maybe before the call, you can have like, how was your day? And small talk a little bit. What do you think? With remote teams, because it's the biggest challenge.
It's up to you, to the team, but some personal and social interaction is very important. People are different. Some people want and tend to be more social. Some not. But at the end of the day, we need to be some average.
You mean you, as a team leader, you should avoid that some certain people are quiet all the time and not expressing themselves. So you should push those people a little bit more, and maybe those people who are talking all the time, maybe to show them that they should also let others talk a bit more, so that you get to know each other better.
You told it very, very good. The leader needs to be a good time manager. Mm-hmm. And to give enough place for everyone to explain his duties, his problems. Other thing is to reward everyone's opinion, no matter it's a negative or positive, and never judge. This will put people to be more open and to share more often their ideas and opinions. Yes. When there is a team culture and team spirit that no one will be hurt from such opinions, people that are less confident could be open and give very effective opinions and advices.
So you lose a lot of valuable information if you don't have an open culture and if you have a judging culture instead. Myself, I had experience. If I only knew people through video calls, and then it's a total different thing than if we went to a small vacation or social event and we really did something together, then it builds really a bond. And when you see this person in Google Meet or Zoom next time, it's like day and night. You have such a different connection with this person. So yeah, I totally understand that. Let's go to the next topic. Are people born, or are there some characteristics of people who make it a difference in terms of how they make decisions?
The decision making is influenced from many factors. There are, of course, genetic factors that may influence, but this is very difficult and deep topic. Another kind of influence is, for example, the experience first 18 years when a person is formed as a person.
Yes.
Because during the first 18 years, everyone is already from some kind of environment, family, friends, their kind of thinking, attitudes, fears. And this will form our initial behavior and style and preferences for decision making, which will persist for the rest of the life, maybe. So social environment could influence the decision-making styles. The psychology is focused, for example, there are few decision-making styles. People who normally prefer to use one of these styles. This, for example, emotional decisions, and some of the people tend to make emotional decisions. Others are more intuitive decisions. Another style is rational decisions. The last style is crowd decisions, when people need advices from other people in order to form their personal decisions and opinion. Everyone is different and has own internal preferences when making decisions on a regular basis.
There is this component of tendency. Each of us tend to have a certain tendency in making decisions. For example, emotional, rational, intuitive, but it also can change depending on the situation. So even a rational decision maker who usually makes rational decisions, in a stressful situation, he can become more emotional decision maker.
Yes. And this is why stress is a significant factor which could influence our decision making. So in a stressful environment, we could make fast, but they will be more based on the danger itself and survival mode. From survival mode, such decision could be concluded as ineffective decisions, because at the end of the day, we are alive and we breathe. But in business environment, that couldn't be the case.
And if I have a team and I know, okay, this person is more intuitive decision maker, can I utilize that, or should I try to help him to make more rational decisions?
First of all, let's don't judge and don't assume how everyone takes the decision, because this is very, very individual, very contextual. We could enter into very wrong
assumption. Yeah.
Assumption, yes.
And if I know about myself, for example, that I am more intuitive decision maker, the decisions, they come from somewhere. It feels just a certain way that it should be, but I cannot explain that. What should I do then?
Intuitive decisions are coming are based, for example, and influenced by creativity. Mm-hmm. And creativity is very, very important, especially in the entrepreneur. When we taking an intuitive decision, we could also benefit from rational entering into details, because at some point there may appear some additional points for exploration. I don't want to explain that intuitive decisions are not effective. It depends, for example, of the situation, because intuitive decisions could have their own benefits.
So intuition can be useful because it also uses maybe the creativity and maybe the subconscious mind but you also have to be cautious about that. Intuition can be manipulated. Can be manipulated from your past experience. It can be manipulated from someone else. There are like scientists, like science psychology, who knows how to influence you with your intuitive decision making. It's a good way to use intuition, but in combination with rational, with facts. What about the emotional decision and crowd related decision? Is there some value in that, or if I have this kind of decision making, correct, like should I just try to suppress it and focus more on rational?
I don't think emotional decisions are effective at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the science is showing. When it's a matter of emotional decision, it's very good for marketing, because the marketing is trying to force people to get emotional decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But from people perspective, it's the opposite. So in business, when we are making business and taking business decisions, only rational or combination of rational, intuitional, and crowd-related decision could be made. Emotions are good when they are positive emotions in our personal life, but in business they don't have place.
So crowd-related decisions, they can also be good and bad. For example, if you listen to others, to their opinion, and take that into consideration, that's good. But if you are changing your belief in your decision, you feel like this is the right decision, but because some people just told you different opinion, you are changing it, then it can be a negative, maybe. It depends also, of course, on the experience of the decision, like of the group. If you have very little experience and the group has a lot of experience, then yes, probably the group, you should listen to the group. But if you also have a lot of experience, especially I see it oftentimes as a startup manager, you have all the facts on your table, kind of. You see also it's differently, like marketing, HR and stuff. But your employees, they only see their small field, for example, sales, marketing, and they focus only on that. So they cannot make the best decision for the whole startup. Oftentimes, they can give you some new perspective, which you can use then to make your own decision as a startup owner. So you need to balance it, because if you see on successful entrepreneurs, there were so many naysayers, so many people, so many critics who said you shouldn't do that. And then they succeeded, and then they were surprised. So yeah, you should listen to your team, but in the end, you should also stick to your gut feeling and put some facts. So you have to combine all the things that you're listening and reading, and then make a rational decision.
When you make a conversation with different people that they occupy different professional field, for example, marketing, operations, HR, they will give their different opinions based on their expertise. And as a decision maker, when you take into account all this information, your own decision will be more effective.
Yes.
Because the truth is somewhere in the middle of all these opinions.
Absolutely. Are there structured ways to make good decisions?
When I studied psychology, there were two very nice approaches that I like it, and they are very popular. One is the SWAT analysis, which is very structured. This is when the decision or the problem is split on four different things, like a model. This is to split the problem on strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Threat, yes. And once the problem is split on these four different types, it's more easy to analyze a complex problem in such a model.
Interesting.
Another model is it's also very popular is the 16 hats of the Bono. When a problem or decision is split on six different contexts. Is using different color of hats. This is the facts hat when we start analyzing with the facts.
How can I imagine that? You have six people and everyone puts a hat, and the first hat is what you said.
We have different people, but everyone use one of this, and I think in my memory the model use everyone is using one and the same hat, but just pushing in the space everything he or she is getting from his mind. For example, everyone start drawing facts when this is the time of the hats with facts.
Yes.
The other is, for example, feelings. What everyone feels for the exact idea. The other thing is the negative. What negative could come from these decisions, and everyone drawing in the space what negative could happen, what positive will happen from this decision. Are there another ideas from this decision or idea that could give additional benefits? And the last hat is the hat that will summarize everything as a common decision, and to summarize is the decision effective or not.
Yeah, I can imagine that it can work really well, because usually people have their standpoint to a certain decision. Some are positive, some are negative, and they are stuck in those. But this exercise, this tool, it forces you to change your position. It's like a debating club. Sometimes you also have to argue for something that you don't agree with, and then suddenly it can make click, and you realize, oh yeah, I actually didn't think about those perspectives.
This is the point, because everyone will change its own context and start thinking from different perspectives for one and the same problem.
Yes,
and the group dynamic will give additional value. The last step, when everything is summarized, we will have an effective decision.
Yes.
And this is the point. When we making complex decisions, such models will help to split on smaller pieces these complex structures.
Yes.
Which will be very easy and useful when we think about it.
Even if you are alone, you can do that. You can just have like 5 minutes. You will focus on the facts. 5 minutes on the negative things, on the positive. The next 5 minutes on the positive, and so on. And you summarize, and it can also make a click kind of in your brain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great. What else is there? Is there another tool that you could use for decision making?
Sometimes I personally use decision trees when I'm using. There are also very wide space of tools online for decision trees. Decision trees are very useful when start splitting, for example, to risks and impacts of each decision, because sometimes we need to use complex decisions or sequence of decisions. And if we start formulating it in a described way, it's very useful to understand the impact and the likelihood of each individual risk. The risk is a combination of likelihood of some event to happen and the impact, the result of this event. And when we use decision trees and start splitting the pieces, it's very useful. Something that for me is important is just to use to make decisions when I'm home, for example.
It's all about making complex decisions, or dividing complex facts and decisions into smaller pieces, and then you have a much better overview of all those possibilities and risks. Then you can cope much better with a big situation, with a bigger challenge.
Exactly. If we will spend a lot of energy if we deal with complex problems, but when this is split on smaller pieces, it will be more easy and useful and effective. And this is I like one sentence, that an elephant could be eaten on small chunks slowly.
So, and the last topic we could quickly cover is, I've heard this word over and over, but I'm not sure what it's like, which impact it has. Critical thinking. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Critical thinking is very important when we deal with facts. Not all facts are correct, or not all facts are useful for us. Mm-hmm. Not all facts give us value. Mm-hmm. And when we have critical thinking, we just evaluate our possibilities, our outcomes, and make rational decisions based on these outcomes in order to produce the perfect solution, which also is not possible, but this is another topic.
Yes. So the opposite of critical thinking is maybe children who don't have experience, and for them, going to the moon, becoming a firefighter. I mean, firefighter is possible, but like pilot and going to NASA, everything is possible as a child. But then, as an adult, you get this critical thinking. Maybe sometimes too critical, but anyway, you try to view the situations not only from the positive side, but also from the negative side, and together, then you can make a much better decision.
Yes, let's be not so quite in the internet. There's a lot of bullshit, and it's important. So when somebody read something from internet to make an additional checks. Is this information correct? Is corresponds to facts checking? Because at some point, if we read incorrect things, our decision making will be influenced.
Yes.
In very dangerous way. So critical thinking is very important, just to validate the information that we receive.
Yes. I see. Wow, we got so much valuable information about decision makings. I'm pretty sure our audience will be able now to improve their decision making. And because of better decisions, they can also increase the chances of success of their startup. Yeah, for our listeners who want more information, they can also find it on our masterful.info/decision making. And yeah, thank you for listening, and bye-bye. Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao. Bye.